Hi, what's your name?
Dwinells. Most people know me as Lee.
And where are you from?
I'm from Toms River, New Jersey, but we currently, for the last 12 years, live in the Philippines. We have young adults that we've worked with for the last 12 years that originally came from the street, and we've helped them transition from a life of independence, poverty, begging, to that of viable citizens.
What's the name of your organization?
In the U.S., we're known as Street Kids Philippine Missions. In the Philippines, it's Street Kids Missions Philippines Incorporated. The youngest child we received was 4, and at one time we were accepting teenagers as old as 18 and even college level. But as we began to acclimate ourselves and begin to get a better understanding of how an orphanage works, and the dichotomy of the street kids mind or worldview, we decided to take children below the age or between the ages of 7 and 10. We figured that that was the best age that we could work with, where they were not yet set in their ways and would be more likely to adapt to a different world mindset.
Good. Give me an example of some of your success stories, like started out as this way, ended up that way.
Well, we call him Jocko, and it's a funny story because uh, legally right now his name is J.R. Burnaby. When we got him from the church. We got a handful of kids from the church that were dropped off by an evangelist, and pretty much left them there. At first, he supported them on a regular basis, but that fell away, and that's about the time they asked us to come in and help them out. Well, when they said help them out, they really meant take over. So when the first day that we showed up at church, everybody they announced us as their saviors, and it's the questions that went through our mind was, well, who's going to save us? But back to GR, Jocko, his name, we call him Jocko. Jocko came to us at the age of 7. And he's a cute little thing, but very rebellious. Very rebellious. Street kids have a mind of their own. They think that they own the street. Matter of fact, they think that they own the whole world. And they ravel in that freedom, and yet it's not a realistic existence. So he actually lived outside of the government hospital in Cebu with his mother on the sidewalk for a number of years. Something happened. At one time, she was actually a teacher in a school. Something happened where she lost her mind in some way and her status, and they ended up living on the street. And he was the only one that stayed with her. So he lived a number of years on the street before he was rescued by the church. And like I said, he was pretty headstrong. He was pretty rebellious when he first came. But through years of love and understanding and discipline, as a matter of fact, he left once because everybody promised him that whenever you want, you can come to us. We'll be there for you. And so he thought he had that, Superman kind of mentality that he could do whatever he want and anything was possible. So that did not turn out well. But with love and steadfastness, with discipline and a good, I don't know how to explain it, but just stay continuing on with them. God does something where the light comes on and they realize that this is really what love is. See, at one time they really thought they didn't know anything about love, and so they cut. So anyway, he now is in his 5th year of college. He has 5 courses left. He will graduate this year, and he's already started in his on-the-job training, making money, and that feels really good for him. He's studying in mechanical engineering, and most of his work right now is in air conditioning. So you're talking about taking somebody that by nature will just put out his hand because somebody will always fill it, and think that that is the way of life, to becoming a part of society, becoming part of a church, learning how the world actually lives, learning integrity and honor and love. And there's a lot of good things coming from him. Well, we need your support because we're taking people and families, and we're teaching them how to live in a lifestyle outside of poverty. We're teaching them that poverty is not God's best and highest desire for them. That God actually promises that He gives us everything necessary for life and godliness. Well, it's not like He's not a fairy tale. He's not a godmother. It has to come out of relationship. So it's not like you rub the lantern and here comes the money, here comes the things. Well, good investments take money. And a lot of people look at nonprofit organizations now from the point of view of what is my return on investment. And this is what we're looking at. We're looking at changing families and changing worldviews to change it from that poverty that I'm never going to be anything better, that life never gets any better and this is my destiny, to, in a sense, the faulty mindset that they start out with, that the world is mine. Well, all the world is God's. And when you work in relationship to Him, when you have a relationship with Him, and as you know the Word of God, and you walk life out with Him, He opens doors. Well, open doors. It's like Abraham's, when God promised him that he will be a father to many nations. He said, "Well, what good is it, Lord, if I don't have an heir?" So this is what we're trying to do. The first step we're trying to do is to get them in their own land and their own property. So we're going to need money to make that transition, so that the property that we currently own will be changed over into their names. So that now they're not just somebody dependent on somebody else. Now they are landowners, and they are people that are working, investing in their own future and learning how to duplicate that in the lives of their own families, beginning with their own families, and then out into the rest of the society that they live in. Right, well, we're already seeing it, because we're already seeing the kids that are working, even for just a few short years, that they're already investing into their own families. They're already reaching and trying to help the younger brother, the younger sister, the mother and the father, to be more and to have a better future. One thing that's very challenging when you're working with people in poverty is they depend on you too heavily. And the one thing I want them to understand is that we're not God, and we're not made of money. Right, and they're also you could also see their hearts for others. I think the biggest thing that I could share that in tangible terms are, there was a super typhoon back in December, and one of the children's mother and the rest of the younger siblings were living out on the street. See, so the mother and the father, the children, they're still living out on the street. But she had prayed. She had prayed to God, and she asked the Lord to help them. And they were outside a building. The storm was getting very bad, and the guard saw them, and he came and he allowed them in for the night. So they have refuge. And at that point, she was able to say that God really does hear prayers, that God really does answer me when we ask, when we cry out to Him. Well, as part of our ministry, we helped several families and churches to rebuild their homes, to replace the rooftops, and to some extent just make it at least as strong as what it was before, but a little bit better. But when I saw that when one of the families came back with, we each gave them like what was worth $200. And when we saw what the one family did with $200, it's like, and they came back to ask for more. Well, at first I was incensed because what's wrong with them? They used all that money and all they did was put up 4 posts, you know. So when after some discussion and when it finally got back, because there is still a little bit of a language misunderstanding, it came back that they understood something. They understood that if they did the same thing over that they had before, the next time the next typhoon happens, they would be in the same place. So at that point you can see that the light is coming on. They're thinking ahead. Now I don't mean to be, I don't know the word for it, but I don't mean to put people down. But most people from that culture don't understand about planning ahead and foresight. So this alone was, you could see that, okay, the light's coming on. They're beginning to understand some very good principles and put them in place. So then I didn't have trouble when they asked for more.